Today, I wanted to share with you guys a recent presentation that I gave to the agents at Marker Real Estate about how they can stand out in any market, in a crowded market like San Francisco, and how they can leverage a powerhouse brand to grow their business with their ideal customers. We're going to be talking about step by step exactly how you can create a powerhouse brand to attract your ideal clients, and how to leverage your brand to be everywhere inside your local market and dominate.
Guys, we have a really special guest with us today, a good friend of mine, Oliver Graf from Big Block Realty. His company last year was the fastest growing real estate company in America, and that is really impressive and very exciting. Oliver is just, he does a lot with branding, with marketing. A lot of the stuff that we see, like with Big Block is very successful company, is kind of run by Oliver, and he's he's just always got really great ideas. We talk a lot about different concepts, lead generation, business in general. And today what we're going to talk about is one of Oliver's specialties, which is branding, and how to use branding to grow and to generate business and to really become an expert in your area. So Oliver, man, thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks, man.
Yeah, excited to be here, guys. Very happy to be here.
Yeah, so let's jump in. So tell us a little bit about like what your thoughts are philosophically on branding and what we can be doing as agents to get ourselves out there with whatever it is that we're focusing on. You mentioned an avatar. Tell us a little bit about that, and let's just jump right in, man.
Okay, cool. So in terms of branding today, I think that, the days of these big brand name brokerages having massive value, I think those days are gone. I think there's a few, brands out there that still have real value, but I think ultimately in today's market, agents should be really building a personal brand and really kind of showcasing their own set of skills, whether that's under a brand or under their own brand. But I think that in order to really be successful today, especially on the internet, you really got to look at what you're doing is building a personal brand. And in order to really build a successful personal brand, I think your goal should be obviously, number one, being authentic, but really focusing on getting yourself everywhere and kind of the be everywhere concept. So I don't know where exactly you want to start, but we can jump right in.
Yeah, let's jump in. So when you say be everywhere, what do you mean by that, and how can we be everywhere? I mean, there's with limited resources and there's so many options too. So we have limited resources and a zillion options.
Yeah.
Like, how do we narrow it down? Because I know you're really good at that.
So the best way I would say to start is really building out a customer avatar. So for those of you that don't know what a customer avatar is, it's really getting clear on who your ideal customer is and who you want to be serving. So we're very clear at Big Block the type of agent that's a good fit for us, and we're also very clear on who's not a good fit for us. And so by building that customer avatar, we've been able to really kind of hone in on who our ideal customer is. And by doing that, we're able to build our brand around the things that type of person is looking for. And so by keeping that congruent message all the way through from your marketing to the way your office looks, to the things that you're saying, to the way that you're dressing, the way you present yourself, all your marketing, your advertising, your sales copy, all of those things, you want to be speaking directly to that avatar so that there's a real connection being made.
So how do we, what's a good way to determine who your avatar is? That's a problem for a lot of people. Where do I start? And guys, by the way, if you're on this call, feel free to shoot out messages. Oliver's really good at answering questions and stuff. We've done this before. So guys, feel free to jump in. But one of the challenges that I've had as an agent is and I agree with you. It's important to narrow down who it is that you're going to be focusing on. So that way you have, number one, you're creating a niche right? And you're not spread out. You're kind of focused in on like who you think is going to be the best fit. And also, you're not spending money and time doing things that aren't going to give you the best return. But the problem that I've always had is like, how do I know, like, how do I pick? How do I choose?
So, yeah, no, that's a very important question. And the best way I ever heard it explained was a guy by the name of Seth Godin, who personally, I don't know if you guys know who Seth Godin is, but he's written a ton of marketing books. He's one of the best marketers ever. If you Google the word Seth, he's the #1 result that comes up. So that's pretty good claim to fame. But the way that he explains it is, if you could go out and pick your perfect customer, who would that person be, right? And then you really want to start dissecting that even deeper. So for example, for us, for Big Block, we do our best for the people that are doing 5 to 15 deals a year, more independent style, more entrepreneurial. So for an agent, for example, let's say you want to be a luxury agent, right? So nailing down exactly what that means in your market. Like what are the things that the luxury buyer in San Francisco or in your local market, what are the things that they're doing? Where are they hanging out? What are they buying? What sort of things are they interested in? And then by kind of picking those pieces and kind of putting them into your custom avatar, you're going to really start to understand this person, and you're going to start understanding the way that this person thinks. And then by really understanding that, then you can put your brand, your message, your content, all the things that you're putting out, you can go put them in the places where your ideal customer exists. And then by connecting the right words to the right people in the right way, that's where the magic happens in brand building.
Okay, so if I want to focus on, let's say, luxury agents, or it could be I want to focus on first-time buyers, or I want to focus on first-time
or short sales, or probates, or whatever.
Probates, or particular neighborhood. So for me, because I've never come up with my own idea, like on my own, I've stolen everyone else's. So the first thing I would do, like when you're talking about this, is I would see what the other top agents are doing in that area. Tell me if you agree, if you think with this would be a good first step. This is just kind of what I'm thinking is go and see what the top agents are doing in that area that are the most successful in that luxury market, or in the first time buyer, or in that farm.
Yep.
And then I would just look at what they're doing and see how I can do it better, or maybe.
Yeah. And then, okay, so yeah, that's definitely part of it. And I would say not only that, like as you continue to understand your customer more and the ideal person that you're looking for, now you're able to be in those places, right? Like if you know that you're a luxury agent, you're probably going to the country clubs, you're going to the business high-end networking events. You're probably rejecting smaller deals, right? Like if you want to be a luxury agent, you can't take the $275,000 condo in some random neighborhood. Or for example, if you're doing first-time homebuyer stuff, right? There's certain actions that first-time homebuyers are taking. There's certain things that they're thinking. And so by building your brand around that particular thing, now you're able to create content that is ideal for the first-time homebuyer to consume. And so now your brand becomes more valuable. You become more of an expert. So for example, if you were, let's say, stick with the first-time homebuyer theme, if you've identified that that's your ideal customer and you want to build your brand around really helping first-time homebuyers or military veterans or whatever it is that it is that you want to be involved in. And I think just to take a step back, what's even more important is it's got to be something you're really passionate about, right? Something that gets you excited. Because when you're excited, then you're going to go deeper, and by going deeper, that's where the unquantifiable magic starts to happen. So just to take a step back to the first-time homebuyer thing, if you've identified that and you've drawn out the avatar, you understand the things that they like, the things that they're looking for, the types of information that they're consuming, now you can start to build content with your brand around the things that they're looking for. So they're probably looking for things like, how do I qualify for a loan? How do I, what is an appraisal? What are contingencies? When do I put my earnest money deposit in? And so back to being everywhere. Now you're creating content around your brand avatar, and you're becoming the authority in your space. You're becoming the expert. And that's when you start to get traffic, and that's when you start to get inbound leads where people are calling you, right? And that's
And that's what it's all about. And that's what it's all about, right? I mean, and we're doing all these things because we want customers. We want people to reach out to us. And what you're talking about is like more, because one of the things that we do at Marker is like we're big on lead generation and like basically, frankly, like spending dollars to get people to come.
right.
When, like what you're talking about is more putting in the time and taking the steps to create an attraction.
Right.
That's how I see what you're doing. Like you're actually attracting people to you without having to spend the direct dollar for that like registration lead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, to your point, most of the stuff that we're doing now that's successful is organic traffic, right? Like people are just calling us because of the content we're putting out, because of the way our messages are written. It's just resonating with people the right way because we really understand who our ideal customer is, and we're able to connect our message with what they're thinking. And it doesn't matter if that doesn't work for everybody because we're okay with that, because I'm not looking to get 100% of the market. I think that's what most people need to understand is you don't want to build a brand that's built for everybody, right? You want to build a brand that's just perfect for your tribe, your group, your niche, whatever it is. And that's when you start to see the real organic growth, because as you start to put out content around the types of things that this person is looking for, what they're thinking, right? So to tie back to Marker, if you're doing a lot of lead gen, you've really got to understand the process and the things that they're thinking as they go through the steps of first filling out that web form to actually, going under contract to actually fulfilling on a purchase, and all of those steps that are in between. And that's where you're able to add massive value to those people. And by adding that value, that's when they become lifelong customers.
so let's go into the steps that are needed to get started and like the branding sequence that you're talking about and that you guys have done so well, you guys have mastered. So let's just pick like, let's say a farm, like, or like when you're talking about content, like what can we be, like, what do you talk, like, what do you mean by content? Like, what can we be doing? Let's take it like step by step. I've never done this before.
Okay.
I'm an agent and I want to start branding in a farm, or I want to start branding in a whatever.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do?
Okay, I love it. Let's talk about farming, because I think there's the traditional way of farming, which is basically like send out a ton of newsletters and a ton of mail pieces and be consistent, and over time you're going to win the game, right? That's the traditional farming model. I would present or challenge that not only do you want to do that if farming is the name of the game for you, I would challenge that you want to own that farm online as well, right? You want to own the digital farm and the physical farm. So the physical farm is the traditional way, right? We don't need to talk about that. That's just consistent mail pieces, keeping top of mind, things like that. And so Gary Vee says, and he's one of the best marketers around right now, he says, if you're not putting out relevant content in relevant places for your ideal customer, then you don't exist.
So let me say, could you repeat that? I'm going to write that down. So
if you're not putting out relevant content in relevant places, you don't exist.
So what are relevant places for a farm?
Great question. So let's use the farming model, right? If I was, let's say I'm brand new and give me a neighborhood in San Francisco.
Pacific Heights.
Okay, I'm brand new in San Francisco, and I identify Pacific Heights. I want to be the go-to guy there, right? What I would start doing is creating content around what makes Pacific Heights special, right? Is there any cool monuments? Is there any cool restaurants? Is there anything that's real famous, right? So start there. If there's not, we keep going. And you want to look at it like an ascending scale, right? You're going to continue to go deeper and deeper and deeper so that people that are interested in Pacific Heights, which in this scenario would be your ideal customer, so that you're going to start popping up everywhere that they would start searching. So for example, you could do neighborhood tours. You could do Here, I'll give you a quick hack, right? If there's a software called Answer the Public,
Mm-hmm.
and answerthepublic.com, you can pretty much you can type in any question into the box, and it's going to spit out a list of like 100 other questions that are similar. So I would suggest doing that around your neighborhood and find out the questions that people are already asking. And then I would start putting out content to answer all of those questions, right? I would start with video because video is generally the easiest, and video is really easy to repurpose. So you could take a video and turn it into a blog post. You could turn it into a podcast. You could turn it, I mean, there's so many different things that you could leverage that one video for. There's also like housing market updates. You could do lifestyle videos in the area. So any like really, I would, Yelp the top 5 best restaurants in the area and just do a quick profile. And so now, as people are starting to search Pacific Heights homes for sale or Pacific Heights real estate or any of those types of terms online, they're going to start seeing your content pop up everywhere, right? And now if they're seeing you pop up everywhere and you're answering the questions that they have before they've even asked the questions, now all of a sudden you're the expert, you're the go-to person in that market.
And what you're really talking about is media.
Right?
Yeah. So
yeah.
you're talking about video and you're talking about putting out media content. And
right.
So that's and you're talking about becoming an authority in that space, and people look to you as like, okay, well,
yeah, you're essentially building your brand as the Pacific Heights expert, right? So you're interviewing all the business owners. You're interviewing I don't know if there's any like city councilmen or members in that area. You just want to start putting out relevant content that people that are interested in searching that neighborhood are going to want to know, right? So if there's, let's say, condo complexes that have more than 25 units, right? You might want to do a walkthrough on that condo complex. You might want to do the biggest neighborhood. You might want to do the most expensive sale ever. And then as you start to build this library of this catalog of media, now you've got, you can put it on a blog, you can put it on YouTube, you can put it in all these different places, and I'd be happy to send out a list of all the places you can put it. But now you start to own your farm online along with the mailings that you're doing. And that's when you really are able to become the expert and kind of take your brand to the next level.
And it goes back to what we talked about earlier, which is be everywhere all the time.
Be everywhere.
Right? So that's when it's like, when you've got the exposure where you're online, where you're on the mailers, now it kind of starts to make sense to maybe even do little things like, being on the grocery cart, like at the local.
Yeah. I mean, if you're trying to own a neighborhood, I'm not necessarily opposed to that.
But doing that, so would you agree? Because I feel this way, like that doing that stuff by itself, the little like
won't work.
Not going to work. You need to
Never.
It needs to be as like a multiplier. It needs to be into all these other things.
Like things like bus benches and grocery carts, like those are going to get you 0 leads, but they are good for brand awareness. So if you're trying to be the neighborhood person, then I wouldn't start with the grocery carts and the bus benches. I would definitely do the mail pieces and the digital stuff first. But as you're doing that, then you add those other things. And now all of a sudden these people are like, wow, like I see your face at the grocery store. I see your face on the blog posts that I'm reading. I see your face, when I drive down the street on the bus bench. And I'm seeing you in the neighborhood. I'm seeing your signs. I'm seeing your mailers. It's like all of a sudden you're the very clear choice for anybody thinking about buying or selling in Pacific Heights.
And then it becomes back to the attraction piece. Now you're attracting people to you. Now you're attracting people that come and approach you, and you're not necessarily going out to take those steps. You've already taken the steps in terms of providing the content and being out there, and now people come to you. So which is really, that's where it becomes really powerful.
Yeah.
You guys have done really well.
like I'll give you an example. I mean, there's videos that me and Sam, my business partner, have shot that are from 2011, and I still get phone calls on them. So that just shows you like it's a little bit of work up front, but trust me, it's worth it, because once you put those videos in the right places and you optimize them and they're able to get found easily, I mean, it's very set it and forget it. You do it one time and then you just repeat, right? And pretty soon you'll have 20, 30, 50, 100 videos online around this one neighborhood, and the compound effect is just crazy.
So one thing you mentioned earlier, which is a really really cool website, and I'd like to just go a little deeper on it, which is answerthepublic.com.
Yep.
So the cool thing about answerthepublic.com is if you're thinking about doing a blog post in a neighborhood, what answerthepublic.com does is you can go on and you can look into a particular area, and it'll show you the Google searches that people have done in that area and the questions that they've asked. So the top question in the last week in Pacific Heights is, where's the best restaurant in Pacific Heights? Well, now there's a demand in that Pacific Heights for best restaurants. Well, now I'll just do a blog post on the best restaurant.
Exactly. And I'd be willing to bet, I don't know, but I'd be willing to bet that there's not a single video on that on the internet already. So you'd be the one person that would show up under that search, and it's probably not a ton of search volume, but it's low competition, it's easy to win, and once you win it, you're there.
Right. Answerthepublic.com. So what are some other ways to get out, get yourself out there and really start building a niche and getting yourself in front of the audience that is most relevant in terms of social media, Facebook? What are some of the top agents that you work with doing to promote themselves on Facebook and become a brand, I guess, expert or a successful agent within their own area?
So, for us, we're very big on internet. My background's in internet marketing. I think the reason that we're growing so fast is on the internet. And so to me, it's really focusing on building your brand online. And the best way to do that is by putting out really good content. And the content can be anything. It all comes back to your avatar, right? What is that person looking for when they're searching online, and really getting clear on that, and then just putting out content that's easy for them to find and that answers their questions. And as you answer their questions as they're going through the buying process, you start to establish trust and credibility. And the coolest thing ever is when you get phone calls from people and they're like, hey man, I feel like I know you. I know I've never talked to you before, but I've watched 10 of your videos. I really appreciate the content that you're putting out there, and I really appreciate you answering my questions. And before I've ever even talked to these people, they want to work with me. They know me, they like me, they trust me, and I haven't had to do anything except that initial work up front to create that content.
So what would you say, if you had to put a time frame in terms of how much content or how much time do you think it takes before you start to see results?
So I'm going to answer that one of two ways. So one, it's definitely the long road, right? It's in most scenarios, you're not going to put up a video and get leads the next day, right? But as you start to build this library of content, it's just the multiplier effect is crazy. And in 90 days, if you're putting out, let's say, I don't know, make it easy for people, right? If you put out 3 videos a week, and there's tons of ways to do that. I mean, you could pocket produce them on your iPhone. It doesn't have to be anything crazy or expensive. But if you do that and you take the long road, because let's be clear, building a brand is not an overnight thing, right? Building a brand takes time, and you've really got to win people over one at a time. And so that's why the internet is crazy leverage. And then number 2 is, if you pick the right topic and you hit something that's hot and that doesn't have competition, we did that once. I did that for a buddy of mine that's in insurance. I helped him shoot a video and kind of showed him this strategy. And he left our office, and 45 minutes later, he calls me and he's like, "Are you pulling my leg?" I'm like, "What do you mean, am I pulling your leg?" He's like, dude, I just got a phone call from someone that's looking to buy insurance, and they said they just watched the video that we just put up 45 minutes ago.
What?
So, yeah, and so it's crazy. So it can happen that quickly. I don't want to put it out there that that's the normal, because it's really not. But if you put the right piece of content in, and it's really a hot button issue, like, I mean, you could literally make the phone ring right away.
Okay, so we've got a couple of good questions here from Billy first, and then we'll go to your question after, Brett. Thanks for these are really two really good questions. So first, Billy asks, how do you get people to find your content?
Okay, good. So the way that you get found mainly is by optimizing your content. And so what I mean by that is the best way to do that is the Google Keyword Planner tool. There's also a more advanced one called SEMrush. That's something that you have to pay for. But you'll go in there, Google Keyword Planner tool, and answerthepublic.com, and you can see the traffic stats for all the different things. And so what I would go through is, like, for example, I typed in, let me see, how to do a short sale. How to short sale.
Can you share your screen, Oliver? Are you able to share your screen?
Okay, so for example, this is a really easy hack. You type in the search term or the concept, you find all the related search terms that people are looking for, and then create video content around those. So for example, here I typed in how to short sale, and there's different things that come up, like the foreclosure process, short sale versus foreclosure, how to do a short sale. And so, I mean, once you play around in there, the amount of content that you'll find and the amount of ideas you'll get is literally unlimited.
Real quick, I have a question. So let's just back up real quick. First, where is this? What site are you talking about right now?
This is Google Keyword Planner. So just Google Keyword Planner, and you'll find it. It's part of AdWords. It's free. You just go in there. You can type in any search term. So back to, if you want to do a neighborhood thing, you would type in like Pacific Heights, and you'd find all the things in Google that are being searched around Pacific Heights. And then same thing, if you want to be niche specific, like I did here with short sales, you'd find everything that's related to short sales, and you'd be able to find content ideas.
Everyone on this call should write that down. So everyone on this call should write down Google Keyword Planner, also answerthepublic.com, because what this allows us to do is we don't have to think about ideas. We don't have to think about, what should I write about? What should I talk about today? What should I do? Because all you need to do is go in here and type it in, and it's going to show you what are the best topics, because and show you what people are interested in. Therefore, now you've got a relevant topic to discuss, which is
So like, if you can see on the slides here, not only that, but right next to the keywords, it tells you the average number of monthly searches, and it also tells you the competition. So if I was just starting out, I would find stuff with higher searches and lower competition, and just insert myself right in there and just start banging out the videos.
Wow, that's awesome, man. All right, so there's a couple other questions here. Okay, so how do you get people to find your content, though? Did you answer that?
Okay, so back to so it starts with the concept and the keyword that you find here, right? So let's say we're doing the foreclosure process. Right? So now I would type in foreclosure process back into the keyword planner, and it's going to give me everything that's related to foreclosure process. So now when you're uploading your video to YouTube, there's 3 things that you want to focus on. You're putting, number 1, a description. Number 2 is the title. And number 3 is the tags. Those are the 3 things that help you get found on YouTube. So as you're uploading, you want to think about back to this keyword thing, right? The keywording is really important. So you take your how to short sale or your foreclosure process as your main thing. You start the title with that, and then you add a short blurb of whatever, like foreclosure process, everything you need to know explained by Oliver Graf or Kevin Markarian. And then in the description, you want to be really heavy with those foreclosure process related keywords. So back to the Google Keyword Planner, you start with foreclosure process, and then you just kind of write a description. And you really want to max out the description. It'll let you write, I think, 900 words. I would try to max it out at 900 words. And I would use as many related keywords in that description as possible, because now Google's thinking, okay, not only is this guy talking about the foreclosure process, but he's talking about everything related to the foreclosure process. So this video is more valuable in Google's eyes than a video that just has like a 1-sentence description, which is like 95% of the videos on YouTube. Then down at the bottom under that, you add all the tags, and the same thing with the tags. So if you were doing foreclosure process, you would do everything related in the tags that's related to that, so that Google can kind of see and pull in those other searches and point them towards your videos. So foreclosure process, what is the foreclosure process? How does the foreclosure process work? What are the notices I receive when I'm in foreclosure? Excuse me. And all of those types of things.
So guys, so we can apply this to anything really. If you're focusing on a particular neighborhood, the words would be based on that neighborhood. The keywords would be the neighborhood. The keywords would be the streets or the schools or whatever.
Yeah, so Pacific Heights homes for sale, Pacific Heights real estate, Pacific Heights real estate for sale, Pacific Heights realtor, Pacific Heights neighborhood tour, Pacific Heights info, right? Those are the types of things that you'd want to add in there. And you want to add as many as you can without going outside of the box of what's really related to the video, right? Like what I see a lot of people doing when making mistakes is they just try to stuff it with tons of keywords that aren't really related to what the video is talking about.
Got it. Okay. And then, so we have a couple more. So how long should the videos be? We're almost out of time. So if we could just try to go kind of fast.
As far as video length, I don't think there's one way to answer that. I think it depends on the type of video that you're shooting. For example, I've had videos that are like street tours that are like 30 seconds long, and it's literally just us driving down the street, talking about a street in San Diego. It's a famous street in La Jolla. We're just driving down and filming and talking about the street and pointing to the different things, and it's like 30 seconds long. And then we've done all the way to 30-minute videos where we're doing like in-depth interviews with people on a really specific topic. Like for example, back to short sales, if I wanted to interview, let's say, an attorney on everything someone would need to know about life after short sales, that's probably going to be a lot longer of a video versus like a neighborhood tour or a testimonial or just a quick bit of information. So there's really no right or wrong answer. I think it really comes down to you individually and the type of content that you want to create and the type of content that you're comfortable creating. Like another thing that I see a lot of people kind of mess up on is just overcomplicating it. Like you don't have to be Steven Spielberg. You just go out there and just get started, make a couple and just see how it goes and get them on YouTube and get them optimized and, start going down that road. And don't think about, oh, my video is not long enough, it's too short, this and that. You really just want to give value and not have fluff. So if you can give value in 30 seconds or 3 minutes or 5 minutes, then that's totally fine. Just don't make a video longer for the sake of making it longer.
And in terms of what you're talking about as far as like authenticity, is basically like having that short little video that you're doing on your phone. As a matter of fact, Facebook tends to promote those higher on the organic results because they're looking for authentic video. They're looking for real sort of, daily stuff. So if you're doing stuff on your phone, it's totally okay. And in fact, those tend to end up getting better traffic because, especially on Facebook, because they're looking for authenticity. So,
and just to piggyback on that point, right? Think about it like this, like that's reality TV. That's as real as it gets, right? And the hottest thing on TV right now is reality TV. So you're just making reality TV about your life, about the neighborhood that you work in, about the things that are going on, and just, be real and just talk about it and be passionate about the topic, and your videos will turn out great.
Cool, man. And then let's see, one more question here. And then if anyone else has any other questions, feel free to jump in and we'll wrap it up. So Billy asked, are you posting these on YouTube? Yes, on YouTube. Any other sites? Okay, so Facebook, any other sites you're posting them on?
Yeah, so that back to the be everywhere concept, and I'm going to be talking about this in our closing table mastermind about how to turn one video into 10 plus pieces of content. But the answer is you want to get that content out to as many people and as many places as possible. So for example, yes, obviously we put it on YouTube, we put the same video on Facebook, we put the same video on Vimeo and a couple other video sites that are not as famous and well known as YouTube. We also will take the audio out and we'll turn it into a sound bite, and then we'll get the video transcribed and we'll turn that into a blog post. So now all of a sudden you have this one video that you've shot that you're now leveraging to just become more and more content. And this is all stuff that can be outsourced, right? Like you don't have to individually do that.
Fiverr, what are some places you can outsource? So Fiverr, Upwork, come to mind.
Yeah, Fiverr, 123 Employee, Workable, Upwork, all those types of places. You can find people that are really skilled at blogging and that kind of stuff. Same thing with video editing. Like if you want to do a little bit of video editing but not spend a lot of money, you can find people on Upwork that for a couple of bucks, 10, 20 bucks, will chop your video up, add transitions, that kind of stuff, if that's what you want.
Nice. Okay. And then let's see, one last question. Let's see, Greg had a question. What is the, let's see, what's important about, okay, so you mentioned properly monetizing the videos you put up. What's the right process on that? Real quick. I know it's like kind of a long question, long answer probably, but.
I mean, I'll make that as simple as possible. The goal in all of my content, like my call to action, is call or text me. Like that's on most of our stuff, the call to action. And then we monetize it with all the automated systems that are on the back end, like Kevin, the stuff that you're already doing. We use Infusionsoft, we follow up boss, call action, ManyChat. So depending on where you're putting the content, the way you monetize it is a little bit different, right? So for example, on Facebook, you can take your video and after you shot it and posted it on your personal profile, you can post that again as an ad, and you can target people that are likely to move in Pacific Heights and then put your face with your video in front of them with a call to action like, hey, if you're interested in this neighborhood, write yes in the comments and use a service like ManyChat to automate all the follow-up.
Yeah, and that's another 4-hour conversation right there.
Yeah.
But,
we did a whole other session on that.
Definitely. And this call is this is such a really high level call. I know there's a lot of really like detailed stuff, but this was so good. And I really, really, really appreciate the information that you shared with us today. Like, I think if someone took just a small amount of what you talked about, like just with the answerthepublic.com or like one of my big takeaways was like using, what was it? The Google, forgot what the name
Keyword
was.
planner.
The keyword planner, using the keyword planner to come up with ideas. Like one of the challenges I have is coming up with ideas of things to talk about and posts and stuff like that. So that's huge right there. So if you're thinking about creating a blog or doing anything, any kind of video, just go onto that site and look at what other people are interested in. And now you've got your content. Now you've got your ideas.
Yeah.
So that's really powerful. And man, it's always a great pleasure talking with you. Really, really so much, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next week in San Francisco, man. Absolutely. And I got 4 more strategies to share on this at the closing table. So we'll reveal those next week. Sounds awesome. All right, man. Well, hey, thank you so much, Oliver. Thank you guys for joining.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
And everyone take care. Have a great week.